She's getting a signal.
So, just start.
She'll tell us when to start.
She's very alert.
But
She's just very alert.
I know. Okay, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tara.
How you guys doing on Mario?
I'm the shelter director here in Watkins Glen.
I'm the facilities manager, Watkins Glen.
We are here to introduce you to our newest resident. This is Bonnie
Bonnie.
Howe. She arrived today after a week and a half of trying to get her, not a non-stop week and a half, but this journey originally started for us about a week and a half ago.
What a journey. What a journey.
What a journey. We're a little bit tired. So Bonnie has a really cool story. She was from a beef farm about 2 hours away from here, and back in August, when she was about 4 months old, when the farmer was loading up all of the cattle to send to auction because the farm was closing, Bonnie escaped. So of all the cattle who were there, Bonnie is the only one who got out, and she was just a baby. So at 4 months old, she would have still been nursing, she would have still been with her mom, but she ran, and she ran into the woods and was gone. And then in October or November, there started to be a few Bonnie sightings in this neighborhood, but like a really wooded neighborhood. And so there was talk that there was this cow, and it was kind of this funny novelty thing that, oh, there's a cow in the woods living with the deer. One of the first people who saw her actually thought she was a buck. She was running with a herd of deer, and then realized that she was a cow. So we found out about Bonnie from this amazing, amazing, amazing woman named Becky, who really became Bonnie's person who made sure that she was going to be okay. So Becky had heard that she was in the area but hadn't seen her, and then saw her on her trail cam that she had set up. She liked to watch the deer, so she saw Bonnie with the deer in November, December, and all the neighbors were kind of talking about how she was in the woods and winter was coming, and this is an area that gets like 3 feet of snow, like these are serious winters. So they started talking about how sad it was, like she's all alone, she's gonna have to fend for herself, she's probably gonna starve for the winter. And so people were saying, you know, someone should feed her, and Becky became that someone. So she said, you know,
Thank you, Becky.
Yes, thank you, Becky. So she has horses and goats and cats, and you know, she already does a lot of animal rescue. So she said, I have hay, I will bring the hay out. So she started bringing hay out in front of the trail cam where she had seen Bonnie. And in the beginning, she only saw, I think, evidence that Bonnie had been around from the poop, and then on the trail cam that she was, you know, coming and eating this hay. And then one day they were both there at the same time, and so then Becky kind of made it her job to work on Bonnie, and she has no cow experience. She just, you know, bonded with this animal and really wanted this animal to live. And so in the beginning, she had to stand really far back from Bonnie and just be a presence and talk to her. And then she started working on making her way a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And then one day she could stand right next to her. And then one day she could scratch her ear and scratch her head. And she had named her Bonnie after Bonnie and Clyde, and started just calling her. She'd say, Bonnie, it's breakfast time. And Bonnie would come out of the woods and eat. So this has been going on now with Bonnie and Becky for 6 months. And it's great, and Bonnie was happy, and she was living with the deer, and Becky was feeding her, but the reality was that situation couldn't go on. As much as there were some people in the area who were Team Bonnie and wanted Bonnie to be okay, there were other people in the area who thought that Bonnie should be shot and she should be eaten because she's a cow, and that's what certain people think you should do with cows. So there started to be this tension of, you know, someone's going to get Bonnie, especially if she leaves the property where she's safe, and she was starting to leave the property. So there was signs that she was starting to go on the road and starting to go into neighbors' property who were not Team Bonnie, who were Team Shoot Bonnie. So Becky reached out to a local, mostly dog and cat rescue, but they do some farm animals, Lollipop Farm, who we work with, to see if they could help, and they put Becky in touch with us. And then Mario kind of took over at that point in terms of strategy for getting her.
Did it a few times. So, so pretty much, you know, Susie, Tara, and I they brought it to my attention. We all kind of sat down, kind of tried to figure this all out. You know, obviously we didn't want her to stay out in the woods any longer than she had to. And we have such a great team here that we kind of like grouped together, kind of got a game plan.
Thought we had a game plan, tried.
Yeah, you know.
Today was attempt number 3. So
Right.
the saying that third time's a charm, it was true in this case.
Right.
So the first time we went out was the 6th.
On Wednesday, yep.
And we went just to see, you know, she didn't have any experience with other people, really. When Becky was out of town, her husband took over feeding, but did not have the same relationship with Bonnie. So we had to go out to kind of see, like, what are our options? Because this really is a cow loose in the woods who only responds to one person, and even with that one person, it's not like Becky could put a halter on her or get behind her or something like that. So we went out the first time, and you and Susie went out first.
Correct.
And
so we kind of, you know, again, like Tara was saying, we kind of had to do a little recon. So, you know, when we put our heads together, we kind of decided, you know, instead of just going out there, we wanted to be prepped. You know, I got great staff. Tara's got great staff. You can say who went with you. You know, I had Sarah Rapley, Ben Hamilton, Phil Higby, great guys. We got 2 trailers going. We loaded up with gates, rescue glides, just about anything you could imagine that we were trying to figure what we may need. So, you know, when we got out there, we were pretty set up in case we had an opportunity. We know it's going to be a slim chance.
we didn't have.
Okay, yeah, we didn't have. But, you know, once we got there, Susie and I did go out. I kind of stayed back. You know, I have a different tone to my voice.
We also wanted to be careful with men because she was used to a female. So
Right.
even though she wasn't used to me or Susie, it's a pretty big, it's kind of like how some dogs like have a thing about guys. We were worried that maybe having like deep voices and something that was totally different than Becky might be nerve-wracking. So yeah, Becky and Susie went out.
They both went into the location where Becky had been feeding her daily, and it was 6:30 every day, 6:30 every day. So we knew as a team, it was in Holland, New York, so it took us 2.5 hours to get there. So again, we're all exhausted, all right? But you know, we would leave the farm, the main farm here in Watkins Glen, about 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, so we got there right about feeding time, and like Tara was saying, you know, Susie went out with Becky. I kind of hid behind a UTV because I didn't want to spook her, and you know, just kind of went out there to check out her behavior. We saw how she was acting, and again, we knew she'd come in every morning at 6:30. So, you know, when she was done feeding, she kind of left. So everybody came in. We kind of seen, you know, her normal trail that she was going. We ended up using the woods and a bunch of gates. We made like a little temporary pen for her, and we kind of did like a little exit gate and an entry gate so that, you know, Bonnie would start feeling comfortable. So this was a daily process.
Yeah, so there was no, it was clear the second Susie went out and saw her that there was no way we were going to get her just as is in the woods, and there's no barn or something that we could put her in. So Mario's crew built like an enclosure around where she was already comfortable eating, and then it was Becky's job to every day get Bonnie in. And I think in the beginning she was a little bit nervous. Mario was getting updates every single day.
Every morning, you know, we were kind of like, Becky and I were communicating, and you know, we were talking things out via text. It was a little easier, but you know, we kind of wanted to see how she was reacting to the, you know, the new environment, so to speak, for her. And it seemed like, you know, every day she got better. We actually had our trailer there ready to go. We had it open. You know, we put like some of her old hay in there to kind of get her familiar with the smells that she was already familiar with. So, you know, as it progressed daily, it kept seeming more and more positive. And then we went out on the 14th. Yesterday.
The 14th was yesterday. It's been a long couple days.
Yes, it has.
So we went out yesterday. We left at
2:30 a.m.
in the morning, and we got there. And so the game plan was always changing, but we consulted with our vet, and we were really scared because she's a high alert, high strung animal. She's nervous. She's not used to other people. She's smart. She knew something was going on when we were there the first time. And so our concern was, first of all, we knew every time we went, we were going to have basically one shot. It wasn't going to be like, oh, we scared her and she's out of the pen and she's going to come back. No, she came in the pen at 6:30 to eat, and then she would leave and go off in the woods every day.
Every day.
So we consulted with our vet, and we have really awesome vets, and told them the situation, and our vet prescribed a sedative, gave us instructions. We came up with a protocol together on how to use this sedative so that we could try to sedate her in the pen. Because the concern was, first of all, it was really hard to get her closed in the pen, but even if she was, I mean, we've rescued cattle who jump 6-8 foot fences, walls, so this pen was not going to hold her long term. Or even short term. And so we went out with this sedative, and we were trying to figure out how we're going to have someone get close enough to give her this sedative. Well, Becky, who we've already said is amazing, is super amazing. She's a retired nurse, and she said yesterday morning when we were kind of getting ready and all of our adrenaline is up, she said she lets me touch her in the neck. There's been so many times that I wished I'd like had a tranquilizer or something that could get her so that people could come and take her. She was like, I'm really good with a needle. She has horses that she's had to give medicine to. So I was like, it's funny you should say that because we have a sedative. And so in the end, Becky was the linchpin in all this. So Becky was the one who fed her, got the sedative into her, and then we were all kind of waiting in the woods to be able to approach. So yesterday was good, but we really didn't know how the drug was going to affect her. And with any medication like a sedative, you can overdo it. And especially if you have someone who's got a lot of adrenaline, you think they need more of a drug because their adrenaline is through the roof, and you don't, and you're overdosing them. So we obviously didn't want to harm her in trying to get her. So yesterday we went a little bit low because we were nervous. And we also thought that Becky would be able to get the sedative into her and then also close the gate because we thought us going out and closing the gate would scare her. In the end, I could give you all the details. In the end, yesterday didn't work. She ended up leaving the pen and we tried to get her out of the pen and it was clear it wasn't going to work. So we rallied again. We said we were going to come back this morning. We had a really good feeling about this morning. We knew much better how she was going to behave. We went a little bit higher with the drug after consulting with our vet, and Becky got the meds into her, stayed put. Susie and I crept up, got her closed in, got her haltered, and it was the perfect amount of sedative because she was sedate enough that she was calm. She laid down, we were able to get the halter on her, but she wasn't so sedated that we had to glide her into the trailer or like drag her on. We were able to get Mario's crew out, we got her up, we calmly walked her onto the trailer, we closed her in. It really went as like perfectly as it could have gone, which was amazing because I think we've all had like crazy stress this whole time. So now she's here, and we're keeping away from her because the drugs have worn off, and she is nervous. You know, this is a new place. She doesn't have her person. She doesn't have her deer. You know, she has seen some of the cattle who have come up. We will keep her isolated, just like all of our new animals, for a period of time while we make sure that she doesn't have parasites and other things. She's survived for this long in the woods, so we're not worried that she has some like hideous disease. She wouldn't have made it. So we're just going to give her some time to calm down. The cattle will come up and greet her. She already met Blue, who used to be in our main herd and now is in our special needs herd. So hopefully she'll start to get really comfortable as she meets the other cattle, and then we'll be able to let her join the main herd where she, like, we've already been talking about like, oh, she's going to be friends with Frank and she's going to be friends with Nick and all these guys who run, and they'll share their stories together, and she'll be like, you were running through the city. I was in the woods for like a year. You know, her story will win. So yeah, so that's Bonnie's story. We're so happy that she's here. If we seem like crazy, giddy, it's a combination of exhaustion and just like, I can't even tell you how many tears were shed when she was finally on the trailer because just we were so relieved that we got her.
Super happy, super grateful for Becky. I can't say that enough.
Yes, grateful for Becky and grateful for all our supporters because this took a lot of people and it took multiple attempts, and these are things that we wouldn't be able to do if we didn't have such an amazing community of supporters of Farm Sanctuary. So thank you to everyone, but thank you to Becky.
Yep.
We love Becky. And we love Bonnie.
Yes. She's one of the lucky ones.
Yep.
Hi, Susie.
So Bonnie has been living in the woods since August when she escaped a local farm. The farm was closing and the farmer was loading up all of the cattle, and while he was loading them up, Bonnie escaped and made it into the woods and was living with a group of deer. So she was playing with the deer. There are really awesome photos of her sleeping surrounded by deer. some of the first sightings, people thought that she was a giant buck and then realized she was a deer. And this amazing woman named Becky started feeding her and has been feeding her every day at 6:30 for the past 6 months, including when there was 3 feet of snow. She was going out there every morning, feeding her, gaining her trust. And without Becky gaining her trust, we never would have been able to go out and get her. So then this morning, she was lured into a pen with food, given a sedative, and walked onto the trailer.
We have a question from Serena asking how a calf from 4 months old can survive in the woods without nursing. Are they able to eat at that time?
So they are. They do start, the breeds that are used for beef, I think typically nurse like 10 months, though we have guys here who have nursed for a couple years. But they start supplementing with hay, grass, forage pretty early on. So at 4 months, she, would do better with her mom. I don't think every 4-month-old would live. I think Bonnie has a pretty, she's a savvy lady.
Yeah.
She made it work. But again, if she didn't have Becky feeding her through the winter, when there wasn't grass and nobody was feeding her hay, I think there's a good chance that she would have starved.
Yeah, Becky was a major factor.
Yep.
She really was.
So what's in store for Bonnie next?
So Bonnie is going to settle down, get used to her new surroundings. We'll just make sure that she's healthy. And then soon she'll join our main herd, where I'm guessing she's going to befriend some of our other escapees, like Frank and Nick.
Joining the crew.
Yeah, and I think she's going to be so much more comfortable when she's with the cattle. She's very alert right now. She's not sure. She's trying to figure out what's going on. So I think once she's in a herd, she's really going to settle down. And even if she doesn't become a cow who lets you go up and scratch her and lay on her, I think she's going to be super comfortable and feel very safe being part of a herd. And I think that's what she was trying to get when she was going up with the deer, trying to be part of a cattle or herd animals. They're not meant to be alone. So the deer became her original herd. Now she'll be able to actually join a cattle herd. The first day that we went out, Susie played cow sounds to her, and I heard that she was very interested. So I think it's going to be really, really incredible when she's able to really become one of the herd.
We're going to follow up with Bonnie more next week. Thank you guys so much for sharing your story today and for being so amazing and getting her free to come home and allowing her to live life here.
So thanks. We're just so glad that she's here. Yeah.
We hug a lot.
Yeah, it was such a good day.
We'll be checking in with Bonnie more next week. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.